those of you who are with us for the last session, we talked a lot about education, innovation, certification, qualification. We're going to continue that discussion now with the crucial question: how do we shape the education system to be adaptive for future change? And I have to let you in on a secret. You are very lucky, ladies and gentlemen. You have the most conscientious moderator of this whole first WorldSkills Conference. He is definitely the world champion. From the moment we started, he's been asking me about this session, and he's an engineer. So please join me in welcoming Ziad Mohammed Abu Salv, originally from Jordan, but now in charge of licensing and accreditation for ACTVET.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I am Ziad Abu Salv, Director of Licensing and Accreditation at ACTVET. I'll be moderating this session entitled, How Do We Shape the Education System to be Adaptive for a Future Change? I am delighted to have with me on the panel experts from education, industry, and a youth perspective to address the topic. Please allow me to welcome them. Dr. Arif Al-Hammadi, Executive Vice President, Khalifa University. Dr. Riyad Al-Mhaidib, Vice President, Zayed University. Mr. Wissam Hashim, Vice President, Learning and Development, Etihad Airways. And last but not least, Maryam Al-Hashimi, a student at Sorbonne University, Abu Dhabi branch. Now, what is the topic all about? You know, the education system, ultimate goal is to see its graduate placed in the job market, in a reasonably paid jobs, of course. In order for these graduates to contribute to the sustainable development of the country. The problem arises when the job market does not allow them in. When the job market says your skills are not required, your skills are not fit for purpose. In this context, we have the panelists who will address this issue from 4 different perspectives. Number 1, how will the market look like in the future? Number 2, what changes are needed to be implemented in the education system to make it responsive for the technological changes of the job market? Number 3, how can we achieve a high-quality TVET system in a time of volatile jobs? And number 4, how do the youth see the future of employment? Now let us address these questions to the panel, and we will take questions from the floor at the end. Dr. Riyad Al-Mhaidib, I mean, how do you see the market in the future? And is there any planned mechanism to predict the future jobs of the market?
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here and excited to see all the competitions here happening at the WorldSkills Abu Dhabi. It's an exciting time for everyone, and it's a chance and opportunity for all of us to learn a few things as we go through this process. As far as the job, you said the job market in the future?
Yes.
Okay. Well, all of us know, I mean, we've seen all the studies, the job markets are changing. That's not news to us anymore. We know that jobs we have today, especially the ones that are based on, skills, hand skills, all of these type of skills that are used in mass productions of, products, basically. These are going to go down in importance. It's going to go down in availability of jobs, and we'll have more automation, more robots, taking care of these issues. From one perspective, that will free us to do more creative things, to do more innovative things. And from the other side, there's an issue, of course, how the society at large would deal with these type of changes, and how can we adapt all of us as a society and also as educational institutions to the new realities that will be coming to us very soon if the future forecast come out correctly. And from the educational perspective, we focus more on the skills that are, there'll be lasting skills with the graduates. The lasting skills we're talking about are the skills that will make the graduates succeed in all types of environments, work environments. We're talking about things, for example, here at Zayed University, what we focus on, what we call, institutional-wide skills. These skills are the ones that all the employers tell us are important for the job market. All of you, maybe in different establishments, different companies, when you recruit graduates, you would look for certain traits, certain skills of the graduate that if they possess these, you like them. And depending on their specialties, they all fit in the organization, but in different capacities within the organization. So we focus on the important common skills, things like critical thinking, as you know, all of this about communications, languages. We focus on leadership, and leadership, we're talking about how to work, take a leadership position, how to work within a team, how to accept leadership of others, and how to contribute as well, and take responsibility for the actions that one take. Things like being punctual, things like understanding the situation when they come to any circumstance. They can size up the issues, and they can go from there and take action and take appropriate action under the situation. So these are the type of things, the common skills, the people sometimes call them 21st century skills, or they call them work skills, that we focus on on campus. And then, of course, we try, as much as we can, since the job market is changing, we at the university level, we don't necessarily, prepare graduates in the vocational technical type. We have some, quite a bit of technical aspect, but not necessarily in the vocational aspect. So we try to develop more of the thinking skills of the graduates, be more innovative, size up the situation, and seize the opportunities, and then take it from there and implement a course of action that demands, whatever the job market demands from that individual. If the individual can be a team member, if the individual can be a contributor to the organization, I think they'll make it in the new job market. And most of we think, the job that require vocational and technical skills probably will decline in number in the future. There will be a counter increase in the job that require innovation, that require creativity. So we try to develop that aspect of the students so they can really adapt as they move forward. As you know, all of us, the jobs of university really is not really necessarily, the first job is to allow them to have a first job in the job market, the graduates. Give them the skills, the training, and the background to have a first job in the market. But beyond that, we try to give them the skills so that they can grow with the job market. They can develop new skills. They can, on their own, basically, and they can, evolve and adapt to the changing situations. That's as much as universities can do. As much as we can do is to prepare them for the start, have a good start, and once they have a good start, I think they will succeed in the job market. So we're not really too concerned about where the job market will lead. If we have the right skills and the right attributes of the graduates, we believe they will succeed whatever the future will hold for them as it unfolds in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Riyad. Dr. Arif, what changes need to be done today in order to be ready for the job market that is going to be technology-based and innovation, of course?
Yeah, we have a number of jobs that are disappearing, and a number of jobs that are, coming to the market as new jobs. At the university, we have been introducing new programs such as biomedical engineering, which is new here in the UAE, aerospace, and we have the space Mars mission that have been introduced recently. So this, we can see that are jobs related to science and technology in the future. For the UAE skills, the university have been introducing new skills that are not part of the 51 skills that are listed today. For example, we have on yearly basis now, we do in the UAE skills, a special competition for programming for gaming. We do a mobile application contest. We do sustainability. And another program, UAVs, cyber security. These are new skills that are not today available in the 51 skills that are in the WorldSkills today. We are proposing also to, if you go and visit our stand here at the WorldSkill, you will see we are introducing the robotics in terms of UAVs and cybersecurity as future skills that need to be introduced maybe in 2019. So there are skills that are going to be new. There are skills that are going to be, phasing out, and we have to be adapting to the changes. They say automation is very important, but this is one of the skills that are available today. The mobile robotics competition that we are participating today is very important because automation in industry is going to replace humans. And lots of the skills that the humans are doing today are going to disappear. So we need to skill people on automation. And that's very important to introduce in the job market. So there will be jobs that are phasing out. There will be jobs that are picking up. And I think our job as academics and as universities to adapt to the changes. If you introduce a program today, the graduate will get to the market in 5 years' time. The question is that after 5 years, does this job exist? So we need to be adaptive. We have to introduce courses and that are adaptive to the market. The other thing I think is very important is the continuous education, the certification that are in line with the academic programs that we are producing at the universities is very important to get the person on the job immediately. And this is what I think we need to do, more jobs of applied, applied jobs while the student is studying at the university. So all these are tools that the university today are using in order to prepare the students to the future jobs.
Thank you, Dr. Adel. I mean, let us hear from the industry being the recipient of the graduates. To what extent do you agree with Dr. Riyad, the skills that the university is keen to develop in its graduates are the right skill sets you are in need of the industry?
Yes, I think the real question here is how could we better prepare our students to meet the challenges or the evolving challenges of the 21st century economy? And I think we can all argue that globally there is probably a clear disconnect between educational providers, students, and industry leaders. And according to a survey conducted in 2012 by McKinsey and Talent Enterprise, it indicated that less than half of students and employers believe that the education system is not actually preparing students for the workplace. And also compared to actually 71% of educators. So that is clear disconnect in this equation. Moreover, many students, report that they have to wait between 6 to 12 months before finding employment. And majority do not actually find a job related to the chosen area of study. So obviously, we can argue that there is a lot to be done here. But from an industry perspective, I think we all have a role to play. It's not only the education system that needs to be transformed, but also the mindset and the mentality and the methodologies and policies of the industries and business leaders need to also support the education system in this process. So business leaders need to be more active in the design, in the negotiation, in the engagement with the different parties, education system, but also the youth. And I'm particularly pleased today, and this is a clear indication of how policymakers and leaders are actually integrating the three different components together to see, for example, Mariam sitting with us on this panel today, because they are the future, the millennials, Generation Z and Generation Alpha that are actually invade the workplace in the next 2 decades. You know, how are we prepared for them? How much do we listen to their views in actually making this change happen? So I think to transform this process, we need a probably bottom-up and top-down strategy to be implemented here. So I would say educators, students, but also parents need to be involved in terms of identifying clearly their accountability. And when that happens, I think, you know, a change could be implemented. But that cannot work alone. Again, business leaders need to also step in and identify the outcomes that they are looking for in the workplace in order to basically align the accountability of those stakeholders with the outcomes that we need in the industry.
Okay, thank you. I think it's worth listening also to the youth who is involved in this education, or who is the ultimate objective of the education system is to see them contributing to the sustainable development of the country. Mariam, what do you think of the education system? Do you think they meet your expectations being a youth representative, or they think they are still in the planning phase?
I think one thing that makes young people exceptionally anxious is the fear of not having future opportunities in emerging economies. Yes. When viewing, I think, the future of employment, we mostly fear the level of our soft and hard skills. And this is what makes us really scared, because we know that new jobs are always being introduced, old ones are being replaced, but are we ready for this? So I think the educational system still needs to further enhance. I don't think they are fully aware of what we think of the educational system and how we feel in terms of our future jobs, our future opportunities. So I think that should be looked at. And we know that if we look 30 or 40 years ago, there has been drastic changes how education was and how people used to work. Maybe they were majoring in something and they would actually work in that field. But today, we need to be ready and equipped for skills that make us work in 10 or 15 jobs for the next 50 years. And I think we understand that now. And long ago, I think we used to think that education was a ticket to employment, but it's more like vague directions to the station. And I think today we understand that education is not just about memorizing or knowing things. It's also about developing soft skills, preparing for jobs, acquiring critical thinking, and most importantly, being flexible. And I think without these skills and experiences, we would constantly fear the future of employment.
Thank you, Mariam. Dr. Arif, don't you think that TVET is going to be the solution for the gap or the mismatch between the industry and the academic education system, the standard model?
There was always a fight between the TVET and the academic and the science. And I think government need to decide what percentage do they want. So in terms of government strategy, they should say we want 30%, 40% TVET, and that have to be linked to the strategy of the country. How much industrialization do they want? How much they want to create new jobs from innovation? So I think the fight, I would say, it's always there between what's right, which Dr. Riyad just said. Should we concentrate more on the generic skills that we need in this individual, his communication, critical thinking, problem solving, or we need to give him, more toward what you mentioned about getting ready to the job? So I think there is always this, also the debate of the job changes. You need more TVET is dangerous. Because if the job changes, you need these skills to be generic more to move him to the new job. So I think having everything in one direction is not the right thing. We have to balance it, and the balance needs to come from the market and the strategy for each country where it goes. From our side, we see that there are jobs that are going to disappear. Artificial intelligence, for example, was in the UAE, have been announced as a strategy for 2030. and what jobs are going to be created by artificial intelligence in the UAE. And that's very important. You might find a receptionist disappear. You might find the people at the airport. You will find no one at the airport to receive you. You'll go through the gates because you have your electronic cards. So all these jobs are disappearing. Automation is going to take over industry. So we need to be ready for those working in the industry today. What future jobs are they going to have? There are jobs that are not going to be replaceable. Human resources manager. That is not only a machine. There is always emotions and feelings into the decision that that person makes. Would we be able to embed those emotions in a computer? I don't think so. So there are jobs that are not replaceable. There are jobs that are going to be replaced, and we have to be ready to gear up toward the future. And that's, I think, what the government of UAE announced yesterday. Get ready to 2030 by creating the strategy for artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Dr. Riyad, where is the teacher from this formula? We talk about the students, we talk about the future, but yet the teachers, trainers are part of the current system. Can we proceed further without giving them the due professional development needed?
Yeah, I mean, a long time back, the teachers used to be the masters of their classrooms. They will conduct the sessions from A to Z. They will be in control of all the action that happens in the classrooms, all of that. About a decade ago, more than a decade ago, the roles of teachers has changed. The teachers nowadays should be more of a mentor, should be more of a coach, should be more of a so to speak, a choreographer of the classrooms, where you want to have all of us know that the more engagement of the students, the more they learn in the classroom, of course. So we need to, nowadays, I think if anybody lectures more than 15, 20 minutes, the class will just die down in the process. So what we do in our educational delivery, we try to mix the discussion formats, mix the practical aspects, mix all of that into the classroom. So it makes it a more of exciting type of classroom. If the teacher has this type of training, that they can mentor the students, look at them as really young, professionals in their field, trying to learn the subjects of whatever the course or the material that's being delivered, and try to gauge where they are as they go through the 15, 16 weeks of a semester, for that matter, and then toward the end, assess where the students have reached. I think that's more of today's classroom. So, I mean, the teachers have to be of this type of ideal that they are really the mentors, they are really the developers of the skills of the students. They are not the show in the classroom. The show is actually done by the students, and they try to have them reach their potential wherever they do. This could be done by engaging strategies in teaching. It can do things like project-based learning. They can do things like group discussion. They can do things getting the opinions of different student groups on the subject. Try to get them to read from the open literature out there, and then bring that experience to the classroom, to the discussions. If we have more of that, then we'll have more of educated students. And the students, by the way, learn from this, because this is what happens in real life, is they will have to research whatever subject they have. And when they come to a discussion, they come as an informed participants in a discussion. So things like working even before the classrooms, readings before the classrooms, doing some research on the subject. This is the type of, I think, the teacher that we, I think, need in the future. The ones who can really motivate, they can really bring the levels of the students up, and they're the ones who can engage the student more. And if we're successful in doing this, I think the young generation, of course, will be what we expect them to be, what we like them to be. The well-informed, really have well-formed opinions about things. They really have the skills that we look forward to have them, possess by the time they finish the universities, and become contributors in their own way to the workforce. So this is the type of thing that we require. The old schools of the teacher being the sole show in the room is, of course, over. And I think, all of us need to move to the ones who will become more coaches in the classroom.
Thank you very much. Do you think the type of teacher just described by Dr. Riyad can achieve a high-quality TVET system without giving the teacher exposure to the industry, without involving the industry with the teacher on a regular basis?
No, definitely not. I think I would really obviously encourage more integration between education system as well as the industry leaders. The teacher obviously needs to be more exposed into the workplace in order to kind of focus on the skills that are required, obviously, after the students moves on. I mean, pouring content knowledge into someone's head, in this current environment, with complete access to the internet, obviously is not going to be sustainable. So as Doctor said, being involved in real life projects, real life skills, is the most important element at this stage. And then the teacher cannot do that unless they have that exposure into the industry, and vice versa. Also, we need to encourage now business leaders to be part of the education system, yes, and the vocational system, to actually transfer their knowledge and skills to the students. I think the work behavior is changing also. Again, going back to the millennials, you've got the Gen X versus the next generation. We prefer, in terms of the work environment, office work, 9 to 5, versus them in terms of working anytime, anywhere, from, the office, from home, and so on. In terms of motivation also, we're motivated by different elements. In terms of our prestige, our titles, they're motivated by cultural fit. So if they do not have that, I think, ability to gain those multiple skills in the jobs, they will be no effectiveness, yes, in the way how they transfer to the workplace.
Thank you very much. Dr. Arif, what do you think? I mean, if the professors at the university are not engaged with the industry on a regular basis, can they prepare their students to the future?
Yeah, actually, we have people working at the Had Airline Research Innovation Center are teaching today at Khalifa University. Okay. So we already engaged with the industry, and that's a very important element. Actually, the students like that type of lecturer more than they like the normal academic, yes, they call it boring lecture. I mean, you're teaching me Fourier transform. Why should I learn this, But when somebody comes from a Had Airline to give them real-life examples of what's happening, and they enjoy more the practice. Can we not teach basic science? No. I think that's the basics for everything that we have. What we wouldn't be where we are today without that basic science. But do we need more of engaging with industry? Yes. And I think the engagement can only happen at the research level. If the government funds research in the university, the students' projects are much geared up toward real-life situation where they can implement their research, and through internship. The time the students spend at the industry, it's very important to engage them. There are other tools that some universities have been following, of stopping for a year, getting the students within the industry for a year, and then come back to the academia. I think these are very important tools. We found the students who do more of these internships programs, they get the job offer much faster than those, yes, who didn't. Yes. Because they meet the people who are going to recruit them, they engage with them, they know exactly how they think, and when they come to the classroom, they tell our teacher what needs to be taught, what needs to be changed in the curriculum. And we should take that positively. If the students is more engaged with the industry than the faculty, we should listen more to the students, yes, than the faculty. Yes. So there are different tools that we can use, and I think these tools are more used in the TVET programs, yes, than in the normal academics. And I think that's why we need more of this engagement between the academic programs and the industrial, and also having advisors, of course, from the industry into our curriculum development. That's also one of the tools that you can use to change the way we teach.
Thank you very much. Mariam, having said that, are you optimistic now? What do you think of the future from a youth perspective?
I think it's good, first of all, to identify where the problem is with us. And for me, and I think maybe most of the youth out there, it's not knowing what we want to do, not having proper guidance. And by proper guidance, I mean that most of us do not know what's available. We don't know what's out there. We might know the basics, but there's more. We need to be more diversified. And I think that comes with telling the educational system or the modern vocational education system that career guidance is becoming both more important and more demanding, and I think this is what we need. And with that, I think proper guidance should come from business leaders, from teachers, because teachers have such a big impact on us. And I'm speaking from experience here. When I was 14 years old, I had a teacher who influenced me so much, and he told me that I had the brains to invent, and I did that. And I'm here today, sitting here, and I'm an inventor. And this is because of my teacher. And here you can connect that the teacher has such a big impact on a student. So maybe we could have more career guidance towards students so that they can yield out their interests, their aptitudes, their objectives, as to help them choose the path they want to follow. So this is what I think. And yes, I am more optimistic. I think the educational system is enhancing day by day. Skills are being introduced. Today we know that jobs are evolving. We need to keep that in mind, and I think students are understanding that today.
Thank you very much, and thank you for such an engaging and stimulating discussion. We will take some questions from the floor now. Yes, please.
Thank you. My name is Rodion Kalishka. I'm from Ukraine, Confederation of Employers. It was said by one of the panelists, if I'm not mistaken, from the university, that there is a struggle between CVET and academic education. Struggle means that anyway there should be a winner and a loser. Do you believe that this struggle will continue in the future, or there will be kind of cooperation and integration of these spheres of education? Thank you.
Dr. Arif?
I think, in my personal opinion, the struggle will continue. It's not a struggle, actually. It's a share of a market. And the reason for that is that we always hear in the universities, the students need to be ready for the market, and that's what the gap between the academic programs and the readiness of the market, that's the criticism that we always hear. And TVET, actually, they have less of that struggle because they are much more focused in their education toward the job market. Now, as I said, it's a strategy of a country on how much the percentage is. So it shouldn't be a struggle, and the comment should not always be the universities are not producing graduates that are ready for the market. Because the universities cannot teach people toward one job. They teach them toward an area, a big area. And then the students in his master or PhD or his continuous education through certifications, through professional bodies, he can concentrate more toward the area that he wants to go to. Now, is this the only solution? No. There should always be people to get ready to the job, because there is always people need to get the job done, and quickly. So I think it's more of splitting the pie, but the pie should be split by the government, who put the strategy and decide where this TVET and where the academic program should go.
Thank you. Yes, please.
A very nice talk by all the panelists. I'm Sara Pervez from British Council, Pakistan. My question to the panel is that how much universities are preparing the young people on entrepreneurial skills? Because we're talking about the job market. We've spoken about that quite a lot. What about self-employment, generating more businesses and creating more jobs for other people?
Industry, what do you think?
Well, I think, at the end of the day, I think, as Dr. Arif mentioned, the education system is actually important in setting up the foundation for young students. And later on, millennials are very clear on what they want and what they do not want. You know, as long as they have that kind of clear foundation, they will be able to develop those skills accordingly. And I think the future of work is changing. In the future, even though you are employed by an organization or a certain company, I think you need to develop that entrepreneurial initiative in every aspect of what you're doing. And it's not anymore sustainable to be specialized in one particular area or function. It's actually a diversity of skills that you need to develop. And that is actually done initially by the educators, but again, more responsibility is placed on the employers to actually provide them with the tools. And of course, the technology these days are enabling them to be able to kind of, develop those skills on their own.
I'd like to add also to what you just said. At the university, we have a course that have been done by the Ministry of Higher Education in the UAE, and it's about entrepreneurship. It was done with Stanford University, and it's been embedded in all the curriculums here at the government and in Khalifa University also as a course. So, but that's not enough. The university also have a Khalifa Innovation Center, which any student who have any idea, either from the university or a walk-in person who need to make his ideas a market, a spin out. Maybe it's not an idea to support him in the business side. So universities should have that types of centers to transfer the technologies into real market and support the students who have entrepreneurship idea. And I think most of the universities today are creating such centers.
Yes, please. Sorry, Malcolm.
It's good to have a panel with some academics on it. Kenneth King from the University of Edinburgh. I think there's a slight tension running through the meeting between the fascination with soft skills, which have been called many different things, passion, creativity, core skills, etc., on the one hand, as if those are somehow at odds with technical and vocational skills. The fact of the matter is that those soft skills are essential in technical and vocational jobs, and they're also essential in any academically based job. So I think the tension and the trade-off between those has been unhelpful. Thank you very much.
Do you want to comment?
No, I agree with you completely. I mean, they do complement each other. And of course, as you know, in any set of programs, each program have their professional outcomes, the skills and attributes of a graduate in the profession, be it whatever it is, engineering, IT, let's say business, accounting, all of that. The essence of the profession has to be in the academic program. So the universities, what we prepare graduates for is we prepare them for both. We have the soft skills, and we also have the professional skills that are relevant to each discipline. So we do both. And we hope, through the soft skill, the emphasis on the soft skill is we know that, that maybe the professional skills are preparing them for certain types of jobs, and these jobs in the future may not exist. So what we're saying is, with the soft skills, they can complement these, and they can actually transition to other positions if they wish to in the future. So these do complement each other, and they, both of them are important. And, if we prepare them for a certain job now and it doesn't exist 7, 8 years from now, they have the ability to move on to other jobs.
Thank you very much. One question here, Doctor? Yes.
Thank you very much for the valuable discussion and fruitful information. My name is Abdurrahman Al-Ali from IIT. I would like to ask Dr. Arif about the skill gap, and he mentioned about the new skills like the cyber technology and UAVs. Although these technologies were born not in the industry, were born at universities and R&Ds. So I think the universities can define the skill set, not the industry. The industry, if we take for instance the airlines, companies, they are technology users, not technology producers. So for being at the top of a head of a research institute, I would say that the skills that you have, they have two categories, as a producer and as a user. And skilled users should be with the TVET, and producers should be with the research institutes to produce more researchers and faculties in the academic, track in the future and stream. I read in one of the research paper that the ratio is 1 to 10, 1 of the academic graduate to 10 of vocational education track, and this was in the Gulf region. I don't know if you agree with this or not. The other thing, the point that mentioned by Dr. Riyadh about equipping the faculties, and Dr. Arif mentioned about the announcement yesterday of AI. Are you faculty ready for 2030 AI to equip the youngsters? It's two different things now. We have TVET. TVET should be worried about the skills, and you will be worried about the scientists and the researchers. Do we have this split in the country or not?
Thank you.
Can I answer the first question,
please.
I think? Regarding the percentage of 1 to 10, I'm not sure, but I can assure you, 7 years ago, there was only the industrial schools here, which graduate around 100 students per year in the whole UAE. And today, we have thousands of students enrolled in TVET programs, just in the last 10 years. And this is an amazing move for the UAE, to move toward TVET, which is more people that are ready to get the jobs. Now, these people, I agree that they should have soft skills also, but at the end of the day, we are in the dilemma of somebody saying, your graduate is not ready for the market. So why are you teaching too much soft skills? And on the other hand, someone is telling you, your graduates are too much ready for the market, but they don't have any soft skills. So they don't have communication, they don't have critical problem solving. So I think there is always this balance that needs to be done to the market, that we have to be gearing up toward the TVET program. I think we should be gearing up toward what the industry wants and what are the services that are needed for the country. And this should be strategic planning that need to be telling the institutions what need to be done. And that need to be done at a very high level to tell the institutions, what direction they should be taking.
Thank you very much. Do you want to add?
Yeah. Well, for the second, are we ready for the new age of AI, you say? Universities will be ready to whatever the job market actually designs. Our most, concern is when we educate, a graduate and get them to the job market, are there jobs in the job market that can really take their, skills and really employ them, productively in the job market? This is our concern in the universities. Now, the announcement of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed is huge, the last couple of days, that we're adopting the artificial intelligence. That means for us as universities, educational institutions, we have now to prepare graduates in the market to be able to use AI. We have specialties, of course, cybersecurity, we have enterprise computing, all of these type of disciplines we do have at universities. But now we need maybe to think in the future how to mix some of the social disciplines with the with the IT skills more, to have hybrid type degrees maybe in the future that can respond to the new skills that are required in the market. Things like having using massive data in the healthcare industry, or using decision-making processes in industry. If the industry acquires these positions, the universities will give out will graduate the graduates to meet the market demand.
Thank you very much. But there is a question, I need to take it. The mic is ready with him. Please, this is the last question.
Okay, this will be the last question. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed listening to my colleagues, Dr. Riyadh, Dr. Arif. I myself consider myself an old academician. I came from United Arab Emirates University, teaching for 10 years at the UAE University. And now I am at the industry. I am a chairman of a company called Smart World. My question is, what institutions are doing in terms of partnering with the private sector and with the industry in terms of bringing and educating the students about new skills. I give you an example. We just announced recently at Smart World that we announced a competition, the first student innovation competition in the UAE, where we take IT students in the 4th and 5th year of when they start doing their graduation projects, and the winners, we guarantee them a job in the market. And we are associated with companies, with the leading companies in the world to guarantee students jobs in the market. So I want to see something like this in terms of partnerships with the universities and institutions with the private sector. If anyone wants to answer this question, more than welcome. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Saeed. I think it's a pleasure to see you here, the audience. We welcome, of course, these partnerships. We look forward to them. And, we are engaging our students in all types of competitions by industry, wherever they are. We have at Zayed University students competing, for example, in media-type competitions. They are competing in IT-type competition. They're competing in business-type competition. Wherever they are, we try to give them exposure and traction with the market. And of course, this is what we do to highlight the skills, of our students, our graduates. So maybe, hopefully, we'll attract you to recruit them when they graduate. So thank you very much, and we look forward to this competition.
Thank you very much. To sum up, student industry involvement is no longer a nice to have. It is a must. Plus skills, skills, skills. Thank you very much to the audience. Thank you to the panel. And have a great day.